Imagine a dark cave. Men have been chained there since childhood. Their legs and necks are fixed so they can only stare at a wall. Behind them burns a fire. Between the fire and the prisoners, figures pass carrying objects that cast shadows. The prisoners see only those shadows. They name them. They debate them. They build reputations around who can predict them best. To them, the shadows are reality. They have never seen anything else. Then one prisoner is freed. He turns around. The fire blinds him. The light feels violent. Everything he once believed begins to collapse. Dragged upward out of the cave, he resists. The sunlight burns his eyes. At first, he sees only reflections in water, then objects. Finally, he lifts his eyes to the sun, the source of light itself, and he understands. What he once called reality was only imitation. This is not just a story. It is the foundation of Western philosophy, and its author was Plato. But Plato did not invent the cave in peace. He invented it in trauma. As a young man in Athens, he followed a strange, barefoot thinker who asked dangerous questions. That thinker was Socrates. Socrates challenged politicians, poets, and craftsmen. He exposed ignorance wherever he found it. Athens called itself democratic and wise, yet it put Socrates on trial for corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. The jury condemned him. Plato watched as his teacher drank hemlock calmly, choosing death over silence. In that moment, something broke. The city that claimed enlightenment had executed its most enlightened man. To Plato, Athens revealed itself as a cave, a society so attached to its shadows that it would kill the one who tried to lead it upward. Plato himself was not weak or withdrawn. He was athletic, trained as a wrestler, born into an aristocratic family connected to political power. His very name likely meant broad, perhaps referring to his shoulders or stature. As a young man, he wrote poetry and tragedies. He sought beauty, recognition, applause, but after encountering Socrates, he reportedly burned his poems. He turned away from imitation and toward philosophy. Later, in his masterpiece, The Republic, he would argue that poets should be banished from the ideal state, because art imitates appearances, and appearances keep people chained. For Plato, reality was not what we touch or see. The visible world is unstable, constantly changing. True reality must be eternal and unchanging. He called these eternal truths the forms: perfect justice, perfect beauty, perfect goodness. The things around us are imperfect copies. A beautiful object participates in beauty, but is not beauty itself. The sun in the allegory represents the highest form, the good, the source of intelligibility and existence. Education, then, is not memorizing information. It is turning the soul toward what is permanent. Yet Plato was not content to write abstract theory. He believed philosophy should shape politics. In The Republic, he declared that societies will never be just until philosophers become kings or kings become philosophers. Wisdom must rule power. It was a radical claim, born from watching democracy fail. And so he tried to make it real. He traveled to Sicily to advise the ruler Dionysius II. Plato believed he could transform a tyrant into a philosopher king. If the ruler could be educated properly, the state could mirror the harmony of the soul. But courts are not classrooms. Suspicion grew. Political intrigue intensified. Alliances shifted. Plato's influence collapsed. Some accounts suggest that during earlier political turmoil, he was even captured and briefly sold into slavery before being ransomed. The grand experiment failed. The philosopher who designed the perfect city could not control a real one. The cave proved harder to escape than expected. Returning to Athens, Plato founded Plato's Academy, a place dedicated to rigorous inquiry. It would endure for nearly 900 years. Mathematics stood at its core, because numbers do not deceive like the senses do. Geometry trains the mind to grasp what does not change. Among his students was Aristotle, who would later challenge many of his teacher's doctrines and build a new system of thought. The philosophical tradition had begun, not as agreement, but as disciplined disagreement. Plato also told a story that still fascinates the modern world: Atlantis. In his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, he describes a mighty civilization, wealthy, advanced, powerful, that falls into moral corruption and is destroyed in a single, catastrophic event. Whether myth or allegory, the message echoes his political thought. Power without wisdom collapses. Civilizations that mistake strength for virtue eventually sink. Atlantis is what happens when a society believes it has escaped the cave while still worshiping shadows. At the heart of Plato's philosophy lies a tension that has never disappeared: appearance versus reality, opinion versus knowledge, democracy versus wisdom, art versus truth. He believed most people live comfortably within illusion. The freed prisoner who returns to the cave is ridiculed. His eyes, adjusted to sunlight, struggle in darkness. The others think he has been damaged, and if he tries to drag them upward, they may kill him. Plato had already seen that story play out in the execution of Socrates. Plato lived into his 80s. After political failures, profound writings, and decades of teaching, he died quietly. Some say at a wedding feast. No dramatic trial, no exile, no final spectacle. Yet his questions never died. What is justice? What is knowledge? What is real? More than 2,000 years later, his allegory still confronts us. We scroll through glowing screens. We argue over images. We defend interpretations of moving shadows. And somewhere behind us, perhaps, a fire still burns. The question Plato leaves us with is simple and unsettling. Are we seeing reality, or are we still inside the cave?